Good morning, traders. I am Emily Vani, the CEO of the Investment Banking Institute and your host here at NewsWare's Trade Talk. Joining me is trading anchor Bill Olson, who brings more than 30 years of institutional trading experience to our program. At Trade Talk, we provide the facts, themes, and trading ideas for the day ahead. Today is Friday, July 26th. We close out a topsy-turvy week for the markets today after a roller coaster of a ride yesterday. Stocks ended mixed during regular trading. The Dow was the day's only winner, gaining 81 points, but down from earlier session lows. The S&P 500 gave up 27 points, or about 0.5%, also slipping from green. The Nasdaq slipped 160 points, or 0.93%. And again, also losing ground from earlier in the day. But Bill, let's get into today's action with what is happening in the markets this morning.
Hi, yes. Good morning, Emily. How are you? I'm watching the S&Ps. The S&Ps are up 0.89%, so 0.9%. That's a nice move. That's a nice strong move to the upside. They're gaining because we got a key inflation report coming out today. It's due up before the opening bell. That's what's that's really exciting. And then you look at yesterday we had that tech sell-off again happening, and it really did wash out a lot of the weak players. So you're starting to see this rebound, especially in the semiconductors this morning. There were no big earnings announcement last night, but this morning we had Colgate-Palmolive, ticker CL. We had 3M, Minnesota Manufacturing. Those shares are rising on positive earnings announcement that they came out with today. Autos are rising, banks are higher, tech stocks are showing gains. So we got a lot of positive action happening today. But next week's a very active week for the markets. We got earnings reports due out from Microsoft, Apple, Amazon, Meta. There's also a Fed announcement and a host of employment data. And I see NVDA CEO, he's scheduled to speak on Monday. That's going to be a benefit to the stock because when he talks, that typically helps the stock to move higher. But the key today is going to be this morning's PCE report, which is going to give, the market a little bit of extra, momentum to move higher once this report is released, because it is expected to be a positive indicator for the Fed to kind of keep on their path of lowering interest rates starting in September. Much of the source data from the June PCE report is derived from the consumer and producer price indexes data that's already been released. So, we kind of have a good idea of what it's going to say. A couple other items that I see this morning that are hitting the tape. Andrew left Citron Capital. He's getting charged by the SEC. They're accusing him of lying to investigators, but he's being charged in a $20 million fraud scheme. I don't have any comment on that, but we'll have to wait and see. But we're taking a look at the global markets this morning, and there's a lot of positive action in Europe. I mean, the DAX is up 90 points, or about 0.5%. You're looking at the FTSE up 68 points, or 0.84%. The CAC is up 0.92%. There's positive action in energy, industrials, and mining stocks. Inflation expectation, the Eurozone remain unchanged, which, is positive. It's not, it's definitely not a negative. Then we're taking a look at, what's going on in Asia last night. The Nikkei fell 200 points, or 0.53%. See, their inflation data came out. It was ticking a little higher, and there's a Bank of Japan meeting next week, and that gives them room to kind of cement their case to raise interest rates next week. So we're expecting a rate hike from the Bank of Japan next week. But Hong Kong and China, they were positive. Hong Kong, was up 0.1%. China was up, about 0.14%. There was positive. There was positive action in consumer durables and auto stocks, and tech stocks gained on Hong Kong. So we'll take it. Then we're taking a look at oil. Now, oil is trading lower, this morning. You got WTI at $77.94 a barrel. You got Brent at $81.92 a barrel. They're on track, to finish lower for the third consecutive weeks. I mean, why? Because there's nervousness about forward demand coming from China. And yesterday, oil had a wild day. I mean, it wound up 1%, but it was down 1% at the opening and then it fell a little further. But then around 10 o'clock, it turned and it just moved higher, finishing up about 1%. So, I'm not surprised to see a little weakness, and 0.5% is kind of, makes sense to me. So we're seeing a little weakness in oil this morning, but we'll have to see how the market behaves today. But we're seeing a lot of action going on. A lot of it is positive in the equity market this morning, Emily.
And Bill, again, a lot of action going this morning, and we're going to be following that along right here on NewsWare's Trade Talk. And we're going to start with earnings action. You did give us a little preview of a few that released, and things do pick up next week in terms of action. Give us a rundown of what we should be watching when it comes to earnings.
Deckers Outdoor, ticker DECK, David Edward Charlie Kilo. I mean, I like this one going in, but it was such a highly priced stock, and the move was so big. But you look at this company, and they beat by $1.04, $1.04, and they did it on higher revenue. That stock's up 12% or $103 this morning. You're looking at SKX, Sam Kilo X-Ray. This is Skeechers. They missed by 4 cents, and they did it on lower revenue, but they did do a buyback, and that's causing the stock to kind of gain this morning. Stock's up 2.81%. We're looking at Texas Roadhouse, TXRH. They beat by 15 cents, and they only met revenue expectations. But you know what? The stock's up 3.9% this morning. And then we got the reports that came out this morning. 3M, Minnesota Mining and Manufacturing. They beat by 25 cents on higher revenue. That stock is trading higher by 6.59% this morning. We're talking Bristol Myers, BMY, Boy Michael Yellow. They beat by 44 cents on higher revenue. Bristol Myers is up 5.37% this morning. Upcoming. This is Monday morning. Monday morning, we got On Semiconductors, ticker ON, Oscar Nancy. EPS is 92 cents. Expected move is 9.98%. McDonald's is also releasing, ticker MCD, Michael Charlie David. EPS is $3.08. Expected move is 4.23%. Remember that $5 meal deal is not going to be included in this quarter's figures, so be wary of that. But On Semiconductors and McDonald's releasing Monday morning, Emily.
And Bill, you mentioned 3M in there. That was your pick of the day yesterday. So by the end of the show, we're going to do a check-in on that. So stick with us until the end this morning. Now we're going to turn to economic events. Again, the PCE report, the Fed's preferred inflation gauge is really the headline here. But give us a look at everything we should be watching when it comes to economic events.
8:30 a.m. we get the PCE report. 10 a.m. we get the consumer sentiment indicator. This is the University of Michigan consumer sentiment. I don't really pay a lot of attention to it. It's owned by a data firm, and I don't pay a lot of attention to it. It's when there's another one that comes up that I like better. And then at 1 p.m. we get the Baker Hughes rate count. Now going back to the PCE report, we're expecting an increase of 0.08%, which is positive because that would make the annual increase 2.5%, which would be, right on track, moving downwards towards that 2% level, which is what the Fed wants to see. So before they start cutting interest rates, they want to start seeing it moving lower, and this would be a drop in it. So, the PCE report is the big one, and that's going to be coming out, 1 hour before the market opens this morning, Emily.
And Bill, as we've mentioned before, as that data comes out, you will be one of the first to see it. As it hits the tape, you have your NewsWare, your alert set up to see that information so that you're not trailing behind other news outlets. And if you're keeping track of that, you're also keeping track of all other types of information and data this morning. You're looking at things like merger news, guidance news, shareholders meetings, buyback news. You group stocks together like your FANG stocks and your Dow 30 stocks. So Bill, what else do you see is possibly moving the markets today?
Doing a quick data check to start off. I'm looking at the Dow stock. I got 24 higher, 4 lower, the rest unchanged. I'm looking at my FANG stocks. They're all in the green. They're all showing positive action. So, I like today. I think today's a good day. There's a news report on Apple. Apple's up over 1% this morning, but there's a news report on Apple saying, oh, the iPhones are not selling well in China. Well, I'm not going to put too much emphasis on that news report because the fact of the matter is everybody knows they're coming out with a new iPhone release, and that's going to be happening shortly. And people don't buy the old iPhone when a new iPhone is coming out like in a month. So I'm not too concerned about iPhone sales not selling well in China this past a month or so. Google, unveiled a pair of artificial intelligence systems yesterday that demonstrate their advancement in solving complex mathematical problems. OpenAI is said to be launching a search engine, taking on Google. Yeah, okay, but Google's still number one. I mean, nobody's really using the OpenAI chatbot, so it shouldn't affect their earnings going forward. So there is weakness in Google that is could turn, especially as we get closer to that next quarter's earnings report. But Google's releasing soon too, so we got to keep that in mind. But next week we got earnings reports from Meta. We got earnings report. They're coming out on Wednesday. Apple and Amazon. They're announcing after the bell on Thursday. Something to keep an eye on. We're talking Dow Jones 30 stocks. We're talking, Apple. They're going to be making their iPhone 16 Pro and Pro Max models in India is a story that's out there. We're talking Disney, ticker DIS. They're launching Disney Plus, Hulu, and Max in a content package with a 38% discount. This is big because this is going to drive people to subscriptions to Disney. I like this. I think this is a good idea. I think Disney's right. Disney's doing everything to kind of get that keep that Disney Plus in a profitable segment. And this is good. This is good. And then you got Moana 2 coming out later this year. Yeah, Disney's undervalued. We're talking merger news. Kroger and Albertsons, they agreed to pause their merger plans as Colorado trial progresses, as it says the Attorney General. We're talking guidance news. We're talking Mohawk Industries, ticker MHK. Mohawk Industries, they see Q3 EPS coming in $2.80 to $2.90. The street has it at $2.71. That's a 9 to 19 cents uptick. We're talking Decker Outdoors, ticker DECK. They raised their full year 2025 EPS to $29.75 to $30.65. The street has it at $31.06. I don't love this, but Decker's is running. And I will say that Decker's 2025 EPS view was higher from their old estimates. So, the street being higher is inconsequential kind of at this point, and still it's 2025. 3M raised their 2024 adjusted EPS view to $7 to $7.30. Street estimate is $7.17. It's right in the middle. That's good, but that's an uptick from their past one of $6.80 to $7.30. So now they're at $7 to $7.30. So I do like it. Bristol Myers raised their full year 2024 EPS view to 60 cents to 90 cents. This is a big uptick because, the street estimate is 51 cents and their old estimate was 40 to 70 cents. So now it's 60 to 90 cents. Bristol Myers, BMY, there's a reason why the stock's up 5% and gaining. So yeah, I like BMY, Bristol Myers, it's good. Shareholders meeting, Cirrus Logic, ticker CRUS, Charlie Richard, Uncle Sam, they're having a shareholders meeting today at 11 a.m. In terms of buyback news, Skeechers, ticker SKX, their board agreed to announce a 1 billion share buyback, $1 billion of this repurchasing agreement. That's huge. Hartford Financial Services Group, that's ticker HIG, Henry, India Grace, they announced a $3.3 billion stock repurchasing plan. And then you got SSNC, Sam, Nancy, Charlie. They announced a 1 billion common stock repurchasing plan. And let's not forget about Nexstar. They came out this morning, NXTR, Nancy, X-Ray, Tom, Richard. They announced a 1.5 billion share buyback plan this morning. So yeah, we got a lot of buybacks going on today. A lot of good news hitting the tape this morning, Emily.
This is the type of data that NewsWare delivers daily. It's factual, it's market moving, and our alerting functions bring it to your attention as it happens. Go to www.newsware.com now and sign up for the trial and see for yourself the benefits that professional Newswire delivers. It is now that time of the show for the Trade Talk pick of the day. Bill, what do you have for us to end this week?
Going with Crane and Company, ticker CR, Charlie Richard. Listen, their earnings are coming out Monday afternoon, but I think we could start seeing a run. The EPS is $1.24. The expected move is 8.04%. That's big. Call volume, look, check this out. The call volume yesterday was 1,045 calls, 1,045. But the put volume was only 20. That's it. So very positive action yesterday in the call side. And then you look at the open interest, 3,978 versus 1,161. That's 3 to 1. That's nice. I mean, yeah, you got to like that. And then the major brokers, well, it's not followed by a lot of major brokers, but the one that is raising price targets on the stock, and they're positive on the stock. So, CR looks good. And in terms of in terms of an entry price, listen, the bid offer is so wide. I mean, you can't really look at the bid offer to give you an indication. So you got to look at what's happened yesterday. And I'm hoping to get in under 155. I guess I'll say, 154.80 to, 155.20, kind of in that range. Guess I might pay up to 155.35. But that's my pick of the day. Crane and Company, ticker CR, Charlie Richard, looking for that 1% gain within, by, Monday morning sometime, Emily.
Bill, Crane and Company, it is today. And coming up, we will do that check-in on yesterday's pick of the day, as I promised. So stick with us. But ahead of that, let's take a look at the current breaking headlines that have hit the press in our Hot Off the Press segment. Bill, take it away.
Casey General Stores, ticker CASY, they're going to be acquiring Bikes Wholesale for $1.15 billion in cash. CASY buyout. Target, it's got an upgraded, brokerage firm. I was saying strengthening store traffic. That's good to see. TGT, Tom Grace, Tom. Federal prosecutors allege Andrew Left manipulated the pricing on 15 stocks, earning $16 million, saying he has ties to a hedge fund. Probably.
Diller says pursuit of Paramount over IAC. Barry Diller signaled IAC was no longer in the race by PAR.
Oh, what was that? Just hit the tape. PARA, PARA. Barry Diller says the pursuit of Paramount is over. He's no longer trying to buy Paramount for IAC. Okay, I didn't think he was really in there, but there was stories that he was, trying to get invited to the dance. Hawaiian Airlines and Barclays renewed credit card partnership. HA, Henry Apple.
Treasury deals.
CrowdStrike CEO says nearly all devices are back online after outage. Not all of them, he says nearly all of them. Ticker LUV, Larry, Uncle Victor, Elliott Management. And these guys are real. These guys are smart. I mean, I used to do work for these guys. I mean, I can tell you, there is multiple brains in that room. And they're out there and they're saying that they don't like the management. They're looking to make some changes in the management. And at Southwest Airlines, ticker LUV. Mohawk MHK, Mohawk Industries announced additional restructuring actions. See Microsoft's release in earnings Tuesday afternoon. I think could move $23 on that earnings announcement. Walmart, ticker WMT, they're looking to, they're paying like $200 million for autonomous forklifts. Kind of makes sense. Could work. L3 Harris, they raised the defense firm. They raised their outlook for 2024. JP Morgan began rolling out a generative AI products for employees. Looks like that's what I'm seeing this morning, Emily.
Okay, Bill, before we dive into Friday trading, let's do the check-in on yesterday's pick of the day. We pointed it out earlier in the show. It was 3M. You did give us a look at the stock during your earnings report. They did release earnings this morning. They released an adjusted earnings per share of $1.93. The consensus here had been $1.66 per share. The company swung from a net income of $1.15 billion or $2.07 a share from a loss of $6.84 billion or $12.35 a share in the same period a year ago. During your NewsWare alerts, you did give us that uptick in their guidance. You may have given it away earlier in the show, but how did your call work out?
It worked out great. I mean, 3M, let's face it, boring company. They make Scotch tape, they make Post-it notes, what have you. But they seem to have that forever chemicals issue behind them. But you look at that stock yesterday, and it opened up at $102.72, $102.72, and it actually fell. It fell all the way down to 101.77. Because the market was so weak yesterday, and that was really the opportunity to start saying, "Hey, this thing, the earnings do look good." Now, I was able to get in at 102.15, and I was so happy about that. And then it ran hot. It ran all the way up to 104.79. It closed at 103.39. I was still positive on the stock going into earnings. And, you look at it this morning and, the stock's trading $110 right now. It actually hit a high of $111.11. I mean, so, it's up over 6% this morning. So you look at it yesterday, opening up at 102.72 and now it's trading 110.01. I mean, yeah, definitely a win. That big winner. Got to be happy with 3M yesterday. It was a great story yesterday, and I was positive on it. I had good conviction on this one yesterday, Emily.
3M, definitely a winner there. I will take more than 6% any day. And we will check in with you on Monday about today's Crane and Company pick of the day. Bill, thank you as always for your expert insight. Join us back here Monday and each weekday morning next week at NewsWare's Trade Talk when we provide the facts, themes, and trading ideas for the day ahead. Again, I'm your host, Emily Vani, here with trading anchor Bill Olson. Traders, you know what to do. Let's go out there and make some green.